about New Orleans prior to Katrina, and then we could specifically identify the data we would most want. And we know that mortality increased in New Orleans for at least 18 months to 4 years beyond Katrina as a result of Katrina. Um, Nevertheless, one of the things with the single case study, even when it's a very compelling case study like New Orleans with Hurricane Katrina, is that it can be hard to disprove. Um, what we would need is cities that didn't get hit. So Savannah not getting hit by Hurricane Matthew, for example. Do we see a steady mortality rate there, and can we compare that to the case of Katrina? There is actually a literature on what happens when cases fail, and there's an article by Chris Aiken and Duncan Snydall called the Single Case Study, I believe, and that was published almost 30 years ago. And it talks about when wars don't occur, as opposed to the case studies where wars do occur. And there's another article by Doug Dion that is called The Necessary and Sufficient Conditions for Causality. And basically, Dion argues that a single case study, if we want to believe that something is necessary, like a natural disaster, for mortality to go up, then we can go out and look for the absence of that natural disaster and see a place where mortality either holds or where it's gone down or where it's gone up. And Dion walks through how you would make those inferences. Nevertheless, the single case study, while it's often the most cost effective, is in some case the most limited in terms of inferences you can make. Whoops, I went one too far. I hope I can get back here. Yes, to the comparative case study. And the comparative case study is the systematic observation and analysis of at least two similar communities, or they may be dissimilar communities, healthcare interventions, a single policy change, and two or more communities. Again, what I like about the comparative case study is that they're more robust. We simply, you have at least twice as much data as you do in the single case study, and you may well have 4 or 5 different types. I mentioned my dissertation with elite interviews. There were actually elite interviews within case studies about policy change. So I actually had 11 case studies in my dissertation with 130 elite interviews. So one of the things I would encourage you to do is to consider how you can best combine those two pieces. The nice thing about the comparative case study is it's more readily falsifiable than a single case study, and it leads to more robust inferences and causality. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it will help you as you work through your final projects. Okay.